What's up, everybody? It's Dre Jacobs here, the War Boy, coming at you. And recently I put something on my Facebook page saying, you guys could ask me anything. And a lot of you guys really sent in some questions, and I am going to answer those questions to the best of my ability for you guys, like I said I would. There were two ways you could do it. You could send me a comment on the Facebook post itself, and you could also send it to me via Messenger. All these questions will be anonymous. I won't give any names or anything like that. Basically, I don't want to start anything on Facebook if any of these questions are controversial. I have not read them yet, so I will read them as we go along. I started wrestling at the age of 15. I was trained by the Mountain Killer John Miller at the Sorg Opera House in Middletown, Ohio. I've been wrestling for 11 years come this August. So, I was really young when I started. I was really lucky to start so young because a lot of the times people won't even train you until you turn 18. So for Mountain to really see something in me at such a young age, it just showed how much I really wanted to be a part of this business. Even as a kid, I wanted to be a part of this business. So 15 is when I started. I'm 26 now. I'm still going strong. It'll be 11 years come August. What inspired me to make War Inc. was Mountain and I were sitting there one day, and we've been on this journey since 2008. I came to him in 2008, and I was a kid wanting to be the best I could be, and he was my trainer, trying to be the best that he could be, trying to fix himself. And we sat there and we looked around and we were looking in the locker rooms that we were in, and we just see a lot of guys just trying to be something that they're not. And we didn't want to do that. We wanted to go out there and be ourselves. So we came up with this concept that who we are out there in the ring is who we are in real life. We are real, War Inc. So really it was just a matter of what inspired me to do it and what inspired him to do it was really we just wanted to go out there and show people that there's more to wrestling than just the look and the gimmicks. You can also go out there and be true to yourself, be who you are outside of the ring, and still be successful and still be, good at what you do. So a lot of the inspiration just comes from being you, being who you are, So that's what we decided to do. We decided to just go out there and be ourselves. What made me want to become a wrestler is watching it, obviously, as a kid at such a young age. I remember seeing my first wrestling match when I was 3 years old. I remember watching it on TV. I was supposed to be in bed, and I snuck out in the hallway, and it was on TV, and I was watching it from my hallway trying to be sneaky, and I got caught. But ever since that day, I was intrigued as to what it was. Fast forward until I was maybe 7 or 8. I actually watched a SmackDown where it was Kurt Angle versus Rey Mysterio, and I remember sitting at a laundromat. I was watching it at a local laundromat, and I was just sitting there watching wrestling. And ever since I saw Rey Mysterio do a 619, I was like, oh wow, that was really cool. That was really different. I knew about guys like Macho Man Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan and Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair and all the classic guys, but I've never been I was not yet introduced to that form of wrestling, that lucha libre style of wrestling. And ever since I saw that, it was like I realized, wow, there's more out there. I really want to get into this. I really want to watch this. And then I was a power lifter for a little bit. After powerlifting, I always loved wrestling. I was always a fan. I never lost that feeling of being a fan. So I didn't know where to start. All I knew is I wanted to be a wrestler. And when when I was 15, I finally got my chance to be a wrestler. I finally found a school, and I found my trainer and everything like that. But really what made me want to become a wrestler was the fact that wrestling was an escape for me. I had a pretty harsh childhood in some aspects. I did have a really rough upbringing with a former stepfather, and wrestling was my escape. Wrestling was my break from reality. I could watch wrestling and I could be happy. And that's when I knew that's what I wanted to do with my life, is become a wrestler. Because I wanted to entertain people like I was entertained. I wanted to make people happy like I was happy when I was watching wrestling. And I think that's really what inspired me to be a wrestler, is to go out there and change a mood, to make people happy, to make people love it and love what they do and love what you do, and to just really just provide an escape from reality for the people that need that escape. And I feel like, wrestling is the way I can do that, because that's what it did for me. So that's what really inspired me to be a wrestler. That is a tough question, because I believe that's a matter of opinion. But my opinion for that is simply this: there's so much wrestling in the world, and everything is different. There's no two styles are the same. Everything is really different in wrestling, and I think a lot of people get so used to a certain style of wrestling that they fail to see any other style as good. They fail to see that lucha libre could be better than American traditional, or Japanese strong style could be better than old school Smoky Mountain style wrestling. And it's more of a matter of opinion. But I think that's one of the main reasons why, is people are just so used to it and not used to change. They don't want to accept change, and that's why a lot of people bash other styles of wrestling. Guys who go out there and really do bust their ass. Guys like Joey Ryan, who is he's an amazing workhorse, and I know he gets ridiculed for the dick flip thing, but it's him, and it makes money, and it makes him money, and it puts asses in seats. People want to come and see that, So if that's what they want to see, it doesn't have to be everybody's cup of tea, but we do need to understand that people want to see that. It's the same thing as anything else, You can sign a luchador on a luchador show and have all these American wrestlers, but they're there to see that luchador in that luchador style. And it's just, I think that we are so lost in matter of opinions that we can't get along as far as wrestling fans, and we call other things garbage and say that this is worse than that, or this is stupid, or that's dumb. And if you don't like it, that's absolutely fine, And I wish I could understand wrestling fans better, because when I was a wrestling fan, you just watched it and loved it. Now there's just so much, and everybody has an opinion, and people who shouldn't have opinions about wrestling, and if it's good or bad, have opinions. And it's really, I wish we could just enjoy it. I wish we could just shut up and watch it and enjoy it. I really do. But not everybody is wired the same. Some people have to fit in with a certain crowd, so they take sides and say, well, this is garbage because so-and-so said it was garbage, or this is the greatest thing ever because so-and-so said this was the greatest thing ever. And it's just the circle. I think that's why people can't get along with wrestling, and I think that's why a lot of people bash certain things, is because they just want to fit into a certain crowd. Oh boy, my dream match to watch. I'm assuming you mean a dream match that I have not seen, that I would really like to see. I would love to see Nigel McGuinness versus Minoru Suzuki. Nigel was so good back in his time, and he had such a rough end to his career, but he was so good. He so good. Definitely the greatest unsung wrestler, today, even. That's my opinion because he's my hero. And then there's Minoru Suzuki on the opposite side. He's a Japanese wrestling legend, and I think them trading holds and trading shots would have been really, really amazing to see, especially with their two unique styles of wrestling. And it's funny because it's like they both are so unique to the game, but they're so similar at the same time. And I just think like those two clashing would be just fun to watch. My dream match, however, to wrestle right now, I would give anything to wrestle Walter. Even if if somebody approached me and said, you can wrestle Walter right now, but it has to be your last match of your career, I would take that in a heartbeat. I would give anything to wrestle Walter right now. He is an amazing monster, so soft-spoken, but he's so devastating. And that's really what I kind of want to be. But I'm a little bit more wild. And I think with me being the wild and strong style and him being more soft-spoken yet still strong style, just going out there and trading shots and slamming each other, I think that would be just so amazing. I also wouldn't mind wrestling Shingo Takagi. Shingo Takagi is another one that I've watched when I was getting into Dragon Gate, and just seeing how he could be so quick for a guy his size, but also so damn powerful, and being able to like transition moves together with his speed and his power. And that's a lot of what I like to do, and I think us clashing would be fun to watch as well. So to watch, definitely Minoru Suzuki versus Nigel McGuinness. To participate in, I would love to go one-on-one with Walter or Shingo Takagi any day of the week. I feel bad because I wish I could remember more times at the Sorg. Unfortunately, I don't remember a lot of it. I will have to say that my very first heavyweight title run in Ram Wrestling would be one of my favorite memories. Backstage memories, however, would have to be the day that my friend Johnny H accidentally drugged my trainer, the Mountain Killer, John Miller, with Klonopin, and then he had to go out there and save the day from a run-in. And I'll tell that story some other time. I'll probably tell it, and I'll have a link in the description where you guys can see, or you guys can hear about that story. But those are probably my two favorite memories of the Sorg. Really, that depends on who offered me the contract first. I have a lot of good friends in Impact right now, a lot of guys doing really good things in Impact, and then there are people in WWE and people in AEW that I really want to work with. And really it's a matter of just who would be the first to send me an offer. If everybody sent me an offer at the same time, I think I would either do Impact Wrestling or AEW, because I feel like as a wrestler you have a little bit more of creative freedom with yourself. You can still go out there and kind of be yourself and still be able to do the things that they want you to do while also still being able to do the things that you want to do. With WWE, I feel like there's not as much creative freedom. I'm not sure. I've never been there. I have friends who have been there, but I've never been there, so I can't say for sure. I feel like AEW, with AEW taking off, there's a bigger wide range of wrestling now, and there always has been. There's always been like Ring of Honor, New Japan, MLW, every place on the indies. But now that AEW is out there, people who haven't been introduced to the indies or been introduced to these other companies see where these guys have come from, and now they're intrigued. So I feel like AEW or Impact would probably be where I would fit in best. So definitely one of those two companies if they had offered me a contract. That one's easy. This business is ever changing. You have to adapt to move with it. things that got over last year probably don't get over this year, and things that got over 10 years ago probably won't get over 10 years from now. So you have to adapt, and you have to change, and you have to keep moving, keep evolving to stay with the business, because this business will leave you behind. And being able to adapt on the fly that quick is what's going to separate you from the guys who can't adapt and will never make it or never go out to bigger places because they're afraid to. They're afraid to adapt. They don't know how. And some guys actually do really well doing the same thing over and over again, and that's fine. More power to you if that's what you do. But I'm an adapter. I love to adapt. I love to change things up. I love to keep things fresh, especially with a guy my size. I don't want to be the traditional, big guy who throws people around. I want to be the guy that wows people with things that they wouldn't see a guy my size do. So really, the reason I changed my style and my look is just because I'm just trying to keep things fresh. I always have ideas going on in my head. The hamster in there is always running 100 miles an hour. So that's what I want to do. I want to keep things fresh. My biggest wrestling influence is my wrestling hero, my top guy, definitely Nigel McGuinness. I've always had this love and respect for Nigel. When I was in HWA, I actually got to meet my heroes, and they say never meet your heroes, and they're totally wrong about that. Nigel was such a cool guy, and just hanging out with him for a show was amazing. And he taught me so much in such a short span, and I don't know how else to thank him other than to be the best I can be. I remember telling Nigel that I wanted to be just like him, and I remember he told me that day, he said, "Don't be like me, be better." And ever since then, it was like, I want to be better than Nigel McGuinness. But Nigel McGuinness is definitely a huge wrestling influence for me. Another one would definitely have to be Minoru Suzuki. I love Minoru Suzuki. I love his attitude in the ring. I love that he's just a no-nonsense guy. He's going to get in there, and he's just going to take it to you every time. Kenta Kobashi. I'm a big fan of Kenta Kobashi. I was always a big fan of Kenta Kobashi. That burning lariat. Nigel McGuinness and Kenta Kobashi are the reasons why I throw this right arm so fiercely, is because I want to be mentioned in the same sentence as the burning lariat and the jawbreaker lariat. Johnny Saint. I've always enjoyed watching Johnny Saint. I feel Johnny Saint was ahead of his time. Tiger Mask was ahead of his time. Those guys, all influential to me, all influential. And then really any big guy who can go, any big lad who has been told that they can't do certain things or they're not supposed to do certain things, and they go out there and they do it. Those are the guys that are my influences. Those are the guys I have the utmost respect for. And those guys, I hope that they keep going, and I hope they keep doing this. And I also want to thank the other previously mentioned influences, the Tiger Masks, the Nigel McGuinnesses, the Minoru Suzukis, the Kenta Kobashis, the Johnny Saints. Thank you guys for being so damn good that it made me want to go out there and be better than myself and make me a better wrestler. So thank you guys for that. Believe it or not, I wasn't always a big guy. I believe my smallest when I was wrestling, I believe my smallest was 250. I was in pretty decent shape. I was skinny. I was still, big, but I was skinny. And I move really well because of how agile I am. But a lot of it was thanks to Dave Christ. I spent a lot of time with Dave Christ in HWA, back when HWA was around. He took me under his wing, and he really helped me out. And he really taught me how to stand out, even as a big guy. That nothing is really impossible. The only limits that you have are the ones in your head, and that you can get past those as long as you continue to work at it. And before you know it, I was kipping up and I was doing backflips and I was doing stuff off the top rope and springboarding, things I never thought I'd be able to do that I do now. And it's really because Dave Christ sat down with me and he showed me the mechanics of how to go about things and how to do them. And for that, I thank him. And that is also how I learned how to be the agile big guy and how to move so well. And a lot of it is it's like riding a bike. Even if you grow in size, you don't really forget how to do it. As long as you continue to do it, and it's a constant thing, regardless of how much weight you gain, you'll always know how to do it. So I feel like that's how I've moved so well for big guys, because I've always been able to move pretty decently for a guy my size. I was into a lot of things, actually. I was into basketball when I was a kid. I would play on the basketball teams for my schools. I was a competitive powerlifter in the youth division from the ages of 7 to 13. I competed in powerlifting meets. I met Arnold Schwarzenegger at a powerlifting meet. It was really cool. Before wrestling, I got into Muay Thai. I was doing some Muay Thai and some martial arts. It wasn't the same. I was an amateur wrestler in middle school, and then when I turned 15, I was a pro wrestler. And there were so many things that I think I could have been, but I don't think I really would have been happy doing them. Pro wrestling is the one thing that I'm doing that I'm very happy about, that I'm very excited about. They say go out there and do what you love, and if you don't do what you love to do, then why are you doing it? And I feel like those other things, I didn't like to do them. I love pro wrestling, and I think that's why I continue to be a pro wrestler. But I did, there were options. There were options for me before pro wrestling. I'll always be thankful for the journey that I've taken, but at the end of the day, this is where I am, and this is what I want to be, and this is what I want to do. So. Pro wrestling means everything to me. Pro wrestling saved my life. Again, when I was 14, 15, I was very down on my luck. I was very depressed. I was suicidal. I remember pro wrestling was always my escape, but I felt like there was no escape from life at this point in time. And it's kind of hard for me to talk about sometimes, but I remember that one day I was ready to end it all. I was ready to kill myself. I had written a note and everything like that. And I went to school, and one of my friends on the same day was like, hey, I know you like wrestling, there's this place where you can go and wrestle, you can be trained, they'll train you, and they run shows and everything like that. And I was ecstatic about it. I was like, wow, this could be a second chance at life for me. And he gave me the address, and I put it in my pocket. When I got home that day, I reached into my pocket to pull out whatever, and I had two pieces of paper in my hand, and one was the address to the building, and the other one was my suicide note. And I had torn up and thrown away the suicide note and asked my mom to take me to the Sorg Opera House in Middletown, Ohio. Ever since then, I have been forever grateful to pro wrestling because it saved my life. It gave me a second chance. And even if I go nowhere in this business, I will owe my life to pro wrestling. I will owe my life to this business because it saved me. And with that being said, if you ever face hardships in your life, know that there is always something out there that is for you. If you ever feel like you're not good at something, or if you ever feel like you're not enough, or if you ever feel like if you're just depressed and sad and miserable, remember that there's always something out there for you. And it's going to be a long and winding road, but it's there to challenge you, to make you a better you. Never forget that you're never alone, things like that. So, but thank you guys for sending in your questions. I would love to do this again sometime. I don't know when. I'll announce it soon. So keep looking out there for it. But I really enjoyed your guys' questions. Thank you so much for sending them in. If you have any other questions, you can send them to me on my Facebook Messenger. Be sure to follow me at DreLTWJacobs on Instagram. Check me out on Facebook, or even go to my YouTube channel. Just type in Dre Jacobs. Click on the channel. Be sure to like and subscribe. And I hope you enjoyed. Thanks, guys.